Hello everyone, this is Alexander. Today's video will cover a pretty simple topic. What is AI? And this is part of the series where we talk about how to use AI safely, responsibly, and effectively, especially for students going into or already in Wesley College Year 7. Now, I imagine a lot of you have probably heard of AI before. Maybe you've seen friends use it, maybe you've seen family use it, or maybe you've even had some experience with AI yourself. Nevertheless, there's not a lot of people nowadays who can answer the question, what is AI? Or they might not even be able to answer when they should use it, or why they should use it, or how they should use it. And these are all some really important questions. So we thought it would be a good idea at the start of this new series to try and provide some basic answers to these very, very important questions. So let's start with an official definition. When we talk about AI, we talk about artificial intelligence. And we define that as technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, creativity, and autonomy. And this definition comes from the IBM, which is one of the most famous technology companies in the world. And in fact, it's most famous for developing an AI system called Deep Blue about 30 years ago, which was a sort of AI system that played chess. And it was so good that it could even go on to defeat one of the chess world champions at the time. Now, AI has obviously evolved a lot since then. It does a lot more than just playing chess nowadays. And in fact, it can do so many things that we need a really broad definition. And so what this definition here is saying is that AI basically mimics us as humans. It does exactly what we do. It learns, comprehends, it solves problems, etc. In reality, it just does these things on a more automated and more efficient scale. And so definitions are good, but we might ask, what does AI look like in our everyday life? Well, a great example is the Google search engine, or more specifically, this little AI overview that comes up whenever you search something up nowadays. And you might ask, what really is this? Well, in reality, it's just AI mimicking humans. When we search up questions, we might spend minutes to hours reading sources to find an answer. For example, right here, I've searched up what is artificial intelligence. You could spend ages just reading through every source that pops up and try and come up with an answer that satisfies you. Well, AI really does the same thing, except quicker. It reads a lot of sources, including some of these on the right here, one from TechTarget, one from IBM, Coursera, and of course there's more. You can click Show All here to see the list of things that it's read, and it reads all of these sources, and just like us, it tries to come up with an answer. And based off what it's read, it it tries to interpret everything and come up with a good answer to the question right here. And so really it's doing the same thing as we do. It just does it a lot quicker. While we might spend minutes to hours reading, it does that in mere seconds or sometimes even milliseconds. Another good example is the video algorithm. AI looks at what we watch and tries to give us recommendations. And of course, you could have a human doing this. Say, for example, your best friend probably knows your interests well enough to come up with some good video recommendations to know what you're interested in. But it's not feasible to have someone hiding behind the screen all the time, trying to give you recommendations whenever you need them. It's a lot more efficient to have AI. And AI can interpret the data just as good or sometimes better than we can. AI sees that I'm a student who likes to listen to study music sometimes, so it recommends me some jazz music here for when I'm studying. It sees I watch a lot of economics videos to try and help me with my year 11, 12 IB econ course, and so it gives me a recommendation for an economics video here. It sees that I like to go to the gym, so it gives me a gym video, and it sees that I like to watch sports, so it gives me two sport game highlights here. I can also interact with the AI and tell it I don't like a video, and it can take that on board, just like a real person could. Another good example of AI is translation. Google Translate is famous, but now AirPods can even translate in real time. And once again, you could have a person translating for you, but AI just does it automatically and quickly. It takes the data that you give it and it interprets that to try and put a word from one language into another. Perhaps the most famous example of AI nowadays are language models, especially ChatGPT. And really, once again, it's just doing what another normal person would do. It mimics a person talking to you, trying to find the best answers. So when you're having a conversation or asking ChatGPT a question, most of the time an average person or a specialist in that field could answer that question as well. It's just AI has a lot more sources available to it, and it can work 24/7 and has more or less a very large memory. And so really it's just trained on a lot more data than the average person, but it's just doing what we would do. It's taking sources and trying to give us the best answer. And so clearly AI is very powerful, but you need to know how to use it. If you don't, you could break rules or even be at an academic disadvantage. So it's important for us to clear up some misconceptions. What AI is not. First of all, AI is not Google. Google looks things up and tries to give you sources to interpret. AI generally interprets those sources by itself. Second, AI is not always correct. It's only so good as what it knows. And so it can be misinformed just like us. If it's trained on the wrong data or data that's wrong, it can give you that, it can propagate that information and give you the false information by itself. Thirdly, AI is not creative by itself. What it's really doing is mixing sources together in novel ways to give a unique answer. So it's interpreting all these different sources that it reads and trying to give you a good answer. But that doesn't mean that it's coming up with new information by itself. It's only reading what it knows from these sources. And so it's just mixing them together to try to give you the best answer. Fourth, AI is not always ethical or safe. You have to think, does it have empathy like we do? And this is very critical in fields like biology or even science generally, where ethical issues pop up all the time. And there's debates about whether AI should be involved in medicine, given that, of course, diagnosis and being objective is a big part of it, but an equally big part is empathizing with patients and knowing how they feel. It's not quite clear if AI is capable of doing that. And of course, AI is not truly conscious. Whilst there's lots of movies which talk about AI having feelings or taking over the world, it doesn't really work like a human brain. So, why use AI? Well, first of all, it makes learning easier. As a student, you want to be efficient as possible, and this becomes critical in the senior school. When you have a lot of assignments, it's important to know the tools that you have and to try to use them to maximize your efficiency in learning and studying. That way you can do more in less time. AI also helps in repetitive tasks and brainstorming. It helps you to solve problems. It speeds up your work and it can aid with creativity. It's also important to mention that oftentimes it can provide a starting point. Whilst you don't want to be using AI for all of your work or copying it entirely, it can get you thinking and can give you ideas which you can then build on. So we need to talk about the future. AI will be a part of your school and of course more than any generation before you. In senior school already now, almost everyone is using AI. Teachers make projects knowing that you have access to it. AI will also probably be a part of your job, and fields like medicine and law, it already is a massive component or getting to be there. AI may be a part of your car or house, and in fact, it probably already is. Most cars have crash avoidance systems, which is In essence, AI interpreting your surroundings and using that data to help brake when it needs to. AI will also solve a lot of big global problems, especially in fields where there's lots of data. Fields like climate change, you have to think climate change is so much data and it's so global that it's really impossible for any one person to go through it all. And so AI can help interpret that so that you can try and work towards a solution. And of course, as with everything in the modern age, there will be a lot of misinformation. People will be saying things both true and false, and it's important to know what's right and wrong. So, what will we do for you in this series? Well, first of all, we want to teach you how to be safe. When you're using AI, there's a lot of risk. There's risk of misinformation, or there's even a risk of your privacy being threatened. And of course, it's very important to know how to be safe. We want to teach you how to do that. We want to teach you how to navigate major AI tools, especially the famous ones like ChatGPT, but also some of the lesser known ones like NotebookLM, which can help you in your studies. We want to teach you how to use AI for each subject group. For example, sciences, humanities, even your secondary language, or better said, your language B. We also want to teach you how to avoid academic misconduct. And what we're saying is not helping you get away with cheating, but helping you to be responsible. And that includes referencing AI where you need. And it's important to remember that even organizations like the IB allow and even sometimes encourage AI usage. And of course, we want to teach you how to master your queries. So by the end of this series, you should be able to use ChatGPT and other AI platforms like an expert. So that's your introduction to AI. It's powerful, helpful, and part of the future. So you need to know how to use it. I hope this has been helpful, and please look at the rest of the playlist to learn more.